Old Grognard Says, let's learn how character creation works in D6 Star Wars 2nd Edition. Some of the folks here at Old Grognard Says have a D6 Star Wars 2nd Edition game going on. For this episode, we're going to borrow the characters the players made to use as examples to explain character creation. So anyway, Heb, that's what hypothetical eldritch being prefers to be called, decided they wanted to run a D6 game. Raisin the Space Cat and Adult Black Dragon decided they wanted to play, so Heb got them together for a session 0. Now normally a game group has trouble finding time and space to run their game, but Heb is an eldritch being and has the ability to manipulate time and space, so this wasn't a problem. In fact, they got access to a really cool place with a big table and plenty of chairs. Anyway, let's look at the characters Raisin and AB decided to make. Raisin decided to play a curious explorer, and AB decided to play a cynical scout. Instead of being an Ithorian, AB decided to play a weird alien species he'd never played before, so he asked Heb if he could change the character's species to human, and Heb was like, sure. But first, let's look at Raisin's character, since it's the more straightforward of the two. The first thing we should explain about how characters are made in this game is that there aren't classes or levels. Instead, something called a template is used. Templates are character concepts that often combine a character's species, what they do, and or their most prevalent outlook or demeanor. In this case, Raisin's character is a curious explorer, with the concept being a person from a backwater world that left to explore the galaxy. This concept will evolve over time as we build the character and as we play, but that's what we have for now. So Raisin begins with the Curious Explorer template. Since AB decided to play a human, Raisin decides that it would be fun to play a human as well. There aren't any differences in game stats between near humans and humans, so changing the character to be human is pretty much as simple as changing the species to human. She also found a cool public domain image and uses that for the character image. The picture, by the way, is of Sarla Thakral, I probably pronounced that wrong, but who was one of the first women in India to get a pilot's license. Raisin decides that Sarla Thakral actually sounds like a pretty good Star Wars name, and so that's what she uses for the character. Next up, we fill in the age and physical description, and then connection with other characters. Now it's time to choose skills. The skills you see here under the ability scores are the skills available to the character at time of creation. After that, they don't matter and the character can learn pretty much whatever they want. So characters begin with 7 dice to allocate to skills. A player can add 1 or 2 dice to any skill on the template, but no more than that. Raisin decides that dodge is a really important skill since that is the defensive skill you use the most in this game, and allocates 2 dice to it. These are added to the character's dexterity, so the dodge skill is now 4d plus 1. Since we didn't add any dice to these other skills, we'll remove them to clean up the character sheet. We can still attempt them using the die code for dexterity, but there's no point in leaving them up since we didn't add any dice to them. Let's move to knowledge skills. Raisin decides to spend a die on languages and another on survival, so now the character has those at 4d plus 2. None of the skills under mechanical look interesting, so we move on to perception. 1 die goes into search, so now it's 5d. With 2 dice remaining, we move to strength. Raisin knows that a weird thing about humans is that they like water, so Raisin spends a die on swimming, putting that skill up to 3d. With only 1 die remaining, Raisin chooses First Aid as her last skill, and now the character has it at 4d. Now that we have the character's skills allocated, we go down here. Raisin decides that Sarla is force sensitive, so we begin with 2 force points. Since the character is a human, move is 10, and all beginning characters have 5 character points, so we put 5 here. Raisin opts not to start with any force skills since they take away from your attributes. A character with force skills might join the party later, and that would be a good time to show how that works. Here we see that next to stun there are 2 bubbles, which is because the first digit of the character's strength code is a 2. We look over the character and everything looks good, except Raisin asks if she can have goggles under equipment since the character has them in the picture, and again, Heb says sure. And so now Raisin's character is finished and ready to go. Now let's look at AB's character. AB starts with a cynical scout template. Right away, Heb lets him know that this game is set during the Galactic Civil War, so this line doesn't apply and we'll remove it. And also his ship is a beat-down YT-1300 that used to be a Galaxy Express ship instead of a lone scout. AB then starts working on converting the template to be human. So first off, the special abilities are changed to none, and we look at the attributes. So right here we see the character has knowledge 5D. The max a human can have in this attribute is 4D, so AB has to drop the character's knowledge by at least 1 die. He drops the character's knowledge to 3D plus 2. With that, let's step off to the side for a bit. A general rule in this game is that a die can be broken into 3 pips, and 3 pips can combine to make 1 die. So if AB takes a die and a pip away from 5D, it becomes 3D plus 2. He can break the die into 3 pips, so now he has a total of 4 pips to spend on attributes. Let's get back to the character sheet and I'll show you how that works. AB adds 1 pip to the character's dexterity. Since there's now 3 pips, instead of becoming 2D plus 3, it jumps up to the next higher die and is now 3D. He adds 2 pips to mechanical, so now it's 2D plus 2. He decides that the last pip should go into technical because his ship is a beater held together by spacer tape and will require plenty of technical skill rolls to keep it going. So now we have a human cynical scout. We can put this template with our other templates for later if someone else wants to play a character like this, but anyway, let's finish the template. AB finds a cool picture that he would like to use. According to AB, if you're going to play a human, you need a cool mustache, and this is a good starting point. After a minor mustache mod, the picture is ready to go. The picture, by the way, is of Louis Blériot, probably pronounced that wrong too, who was a French aviator, inventor, and engineer. He built the first working monoplane and was the first to fly across the English Channel in a heavier-than-air flying machine. AB looks at the name forwards and backwards looking for something Star Wars and comes up with Terrell Bashar. He now fills in this block here and connection to other characters. After that, he moves on to allocating skill dice, just like we did with Raisin. So now he allocates 1 die each to Blaster and Dodge, and we take off the skills we didn't add to clean up the sheet, just like we did with Raisin's character. We move on to Knowledge, and AB decides that since his character is the starship pilot of the group, he'll save dice and move on to Mechanical. He spends 2 dice on his space transport skill, since that's what he'll use to pilot the currently unnamed YT-1300. He spends a die on the sensor skill since he is a scout after all, and that might be useful. He puts 1 of the 2 dice he has remaining into the sneak skill under perception, and the last into space transports repair under technical. Down here he decides that the character isn't force sensitive, so he begins with 1 force point. Move is 10 since he's human, and like all characters, starts with 5 character points. Since his strength code starts with the number 3, he has 3 bubbles next to stun. The character is almost done, but since Raisin brought up goggles, he also adds goggles to his equipment. Now AB's character is finished. With that, we've covered the basics of character creation. There are a couple of things I left out, like specializations, advanced skills, and making force-using characters, but I think they should be in a separate video or videos so we don't drink from the fire hose. In the future, there will be characters joining the crew of the currently unnamed YT-1300, and with them we'll explain those aspects of character creation. Thanks for watching. The D6 Game Group here at Old Grognard Says and I would like to wish you a wonderful rest of your day.